watching just now. Just looking over some of my rigging that I'm going to use for my next trip up to the lochs when it comes to the dry fly. The other day I was using one of these. These are these Sunray tapered leaders I was telling you about. This was a 12-foot one. Goes down to a 12-foot point. And when I got the first fish of the session on that previous video, I had the full 12-foot on. Problem with that was I found that with the butt section on the tapered leader, when I made my perfection loop and did my loop to loop to the welded loop in my fly line, the perfection loop was a wee bit too big, and I found that where it might not be here, you might hear it hitting on the tip ring on my rod when I was trying to pull it in. Well, I got stuck on the tip ring, and it was just jamming up, and I thought, you could potentially lose a fish doing that. So what I've done is I've converted it from being a 12-foot tapered leader down to a 9-foot. Just literally just measured 3 feet down from the butt section and trimmed it off, and it's actually led to being a bit more of a sort of slightly smaller perfection loop knot, which I'll just show you here, which will have less chance of hinging or getting locked on my rod rings. I mean, the proof in the pudding is going to be when I go out and use it. But I've put it down to a 9-foot tapered leader going down to a 12-pound point, and then on the end of that I've obviously Davy knotted a 1.5mm tippet ring to that. But it looks like the butt section is not as thick as it was when it was originally 12-foot, but it also looks stiff enough to still turn your fly over, the transfer of energy between your fly line and your actual tapered leader, which I'll show you just now. The butt section here on this tapered leader, bearing in mind I've just cut 3 foot off from the butt section, it's rendering it a 9-foot tapered leader. It's still thick enough, and also the perfection of I've made quite a small, short perfection loop. So there's less chance of this loop being wide open when it's sitting on the water. It actually sits quite tight, as you can see there, as opposed to being wide open if it was a longer loop, that is. But the knot's a damn sight smaller, and it looks a bit more streamlined. And another way that you can tell if the transfer of energy between your fly line and your tapered leader is going to work okay is you just do the bend test. There we go. Just bend it like that. See? You can see here the tapered leader on the left isn't sort of buckling in on itself, it's bending with the fly line. Yeah? And that is a good indication to still show you that that butt section's thick enough. It's not as thick as it was originally when it was 12 foot, but it's still stiffer and thick enough, if I can get this thing to focus, to transfer the energy from my fly line all the way down, right through to whatever X of tippet I put on the end of it. Now, that should make a difference. We'll give that a try on the next jaunt. But that's, like I say, the transfer of energy there, it should still be there. This tapered leader is not buckling in on itself, so that should hopefully make a difference. So we'll give it a try and see what happens. But yeah, I wasn't overly sold on that big knot last time. It was jamming up in the rod rings, and I wasn't having in that. Also, the Sunray tapered leader lines are actually pretty supple. Just obviously, as you do when you uncoil them after a while, just give them a wee bit of heat and stretch your fingers through them. But yeah, that should work. Anyway, see you in a bit.